right, thanks a lot. I think this whole discussion, this whole idea of the cognitive bias, it's important for us because we kind of get stuck in our little world sometimes. And although the Java world is very, very big, sometimes it's good to see a little bit what we can do outside. And the JVM is so cool. There's more than 300 languages that runs on top of the JVM today. And so, every time people talk about JavaScript or Scala or Clojure or Kotlin or all of those languages, you can always remember that the JVM runs, if not all, most of those languages. And we Java developers, we have access, easy access to all of those things, and it's good to keep this in mind and think about things. All right, so in terms of about open up our minds, this next guy here, is Otavio Santana. He's an OpenJDK committer, so he's working on Java 9 right now. He's working on Java 8. He's been traveling around the world talking about NoSQL, right? He's a committer of the Cassandra NoSQL database. He's been doing all kinds of projects with NoSQL for a long time. He's now creating a specification for the Java community process for the NoSQL. So put your hands together to Otavio Santana.
Hello everyone, good night, good evening, sorry. Who are Java EE user? Java EE user. Keep your hands up. So who also are using NoSQL database? Oh, that's nice. Thanks. Let's start to talk more. By the way, who are using microservices in your application with Java EE? Microservices? Anyone? Okay. By the way, who are Spring user? Spring Data? Wow. Whoa, man. A lot of people here. Actually, I really love Spring. Mainly in Spring Data. That integration between NoSQL and Java made by this guy was amazing. But I'm here to talk more about specification. So let's talk more about what NoSQL is and this kind of stuff. That's my name. My Twitter, Otavio Java, otaviojava@apache.org. So as Bruno mentioned, I'm a committer from Apache projects, some Apache products, such as Cassandra. But first, who knows what NoSQL is? Okay, a lot of people have no idea. So basically, NoSQL is a database. So you can put information there, you can retrieve information there, you can delete information there. But there is one different stuff. They normally don't use AJUG strategy. So basically, they don't have transaction. They are using base strategy. So they have 5 different types. Okay. The first type is key value. So it's something like hash map does. So basically, I have a key, and then I have a respective value to this guy. I believe the most famous one is Redis or Redis, Hazelcast. The document, the structure is something like JSON file or XML file. I believe the most famous one is MongoDB. Column family. This information here is something like the only field mandatory is a row key. The column is just in time. I mean, the column is gonna create it when you really need this information. So take example here. I have dirty. I have just Aphrodite has color because when I create information, that's appear. So that's a different from SQL technology because if you have information or not, the column already exists, but with new information. So I hope the most famous one is Cassandra. Neo4j, the graph. Basically, I can keep information and relationship between nodes and vertex. And multimodal. Basically, what multimodal is, if I have a NoSQL vendor that has support more than one type, so ORNDB has support to graph and document, that means this database is multimodal. So basically, multimodal is, okay, I'm a vendor, I have support to more than one type, so I'm multimodal. I believe that's really normal and trivial to try to do the comparison between SQL technology and NoSQL technology. You can see here the structure. So I have SQL that has table, room, column, and relationship. I have key value, the simplest one. So I have just bucket and key value pair, hash map. Document, I have the collection. I have the document, and each document has a pair. Basically, I have key value pair in each document, because in the document we have the key, that's the name, and the value, that's the information. Something similar we have in column. That's I have a column family. I have a column that also has key value pair. So key is a value. Key is the name. Value is the information. And the total different stuff here in the structure of the graph. So that's a totally different from SQL technology and relationship stuff. So the first advice on you try to use NoSQL technology is stop to think more SQL. Try to don't use relationship on Cassandra. Try to don't use relationship on Couchbase. And that's it. Okay, let's try to compare again between relational application with NoSQL application. If you use SQL technology, we have JPA and we have JDBC that are standard. So if I'd like to change between MySQL and PostgreSQL, basically I just need to change the driver. That's easy. If I'd like to replace Hibernate to OpenJPA, so I just need to change the implementation, because this guy here and that side has standards. But in the old side, I had NoSQL application that is not standard. So if I'm using Cassandra and like to use Couchbase or Redis, I need to change everything. Of course, you have some solution. We have Spring Data, and we also have Hibernate OGM and TopLink. The idea behind Hibernate OGM and TopLink is, okay, the Java EE developers knows about JPA API, so just try to use the same API to these guys use NoSQL technology. So basically I try to use the same annotation, the same operation, the same entity manager to try to solve this kind of problem. But of course, JPA was not made to NoSQL technology. If you'd like to save asynchronously, I'm going to have a problem. If you'd like to use time to live, I'm still going to have a problem to do. So, in NoSQL, we have a lot of diversity. Okay, Cassandra has a consistency level, and just Cassandra has CQL, because CQL is Cassandra query language. Okay, the huge challenge here is the diversity. So I have different types, I have different goals, I have different behaviors, I have different proposals to all kind of NoSQL database. Even you try to use the same type, the same key value, some banks, some database have different structures or different behaviors. That's why I'd like to create the new specification about that. That's Jnosql. Basically, gonna have two layers. The map layer gonna be something like the JPA does, and the communication layer that's gonna be what the JDBC does. So basically, you try to divide and conquer. Why? Because the communication layer just the NoSQL guys, vendors care. And the mapping layer, the solution guys care. So Spring guys here, and the mapping layer, the Hibernate here, and the mapping layer, and Cassandra, Couchbase, Redis, and a lot of NoSQL vendors, and the communication layers. So I can divide and conquer. So Jnosql is Eclipse Foundation product. It's a dual license, so Apache and Eclipse license. I have one API to different NoSQL types. So I have one API to key value, I have one API to column, I have one API to document, and I have one API to graph. Why Diana and why Artemis? Because I love this name, so that is it. Basically, my product, my name. Sorry for that. Why Diana? Basically, this guy gonna be the communication layer. Think more what the JDBC does. So I'm gonna have 4 different APIs, one for each different kind of NoSQL database. So document, key value, column, and graph. And take this sample here. We have 4 different kind of document APIs. So I have a RongoDB, I have document MongoDB, I have Couchbase, and I have OrangeDB. These guys are document NoSQL database type. So if you take a look at the code is totally different, right? But if you take a look at the structure and the behavior, gonna be exactly the same. So I have a RongoDB, try to put a document. What we have in the document? So I have the name and the value. So that's a document pair. What I have in the MongoDB? I try to put a document. So a name and value, a name and value, and name and value. So you can see this guy here try to do exactly the same thing. Try to put a document inside in the database. So we don't need this. We just need one API to do this kind of stuff, because this guy here is a document. So what I try to do is give a document collection. I try to put a document there. That's exactly the proposal. So I have my document entity. I created the document that has a name and value, and then I put my document there. Given that, I have implementation from Couchbase, RongoDB, OrangeDB, and MongoDB. That's the whole idea about standards. So basically, I keep the same behavior and put in just one API. Of course, you have more issues. So basically, we have nomenclature issues. So I have insert or save, delete or remove. Just to try to keep the same thing, because, okay, I'd like to do exactly the same thing. So update or merge, find or search. The idea is, okay, I can have more behavior, but just try to use the same nomenclature. The time to leave is exactly the same thing. So I have long to seconds, into seconds, long to milliseconds, into milliseconds. I have 4 different types of nomenclature, 4 different types of the standards to do exactly one thing. Imagine right now, I'm a NoSQL vendor, so basically I have my database here, and I have my API. I'm gonna do an implementation, and I have a TC key. The TC key is Technical Compatibility Kit. So basically, I try to run my implementation here. That's pass. Okay, I have support to Diana product, so I have support to communication layer. You try to keep the same nomenclature of JPA. So I have the configuration class that does configuration stuff, client stuff. I have factory that create managers that manage entity. So exactly something that we have on JPA. Of course, the diversity on NoSQL database really matter. If you take a look here, I have the common API on column. So I have a column entity. I put one column in the entity. So I have the common API, so I can save something, I can find something. So I have multiple implementation here. But to me, when I'd like to use Cassandra, the diversity and the behavior really matter. So I'm running the SQL. I'm running the Cassandra query language. I will try to save use consistency level. But if you take the return, so I'm returning the sum API. So I have a lot of NoSQL providers on this project. So I have Cassandra, Couchbase, MongoDB, Oracle, ArongDB, Elasticsearch. I have a community. We have a lot of Java user groups. We have the Spring Data guy with us. Of course, we have the mapping layer. So the idea is, okay, I have the communication layer with CDI layer. So let's create Artemis. So everything is around annotation to make easier the communication between Java application and the NoSQL database. Who knows Spring Data is really common. So I have dynamic query, so method query. Basically, I can create a query based on the method name. I have a lot of events. So I mentioned before, the specific behavior in NoSQL database matter. So you can have a lot of extension there. So I have extension to put annotation such as UDT. UDT is user-defined type. There's a type from Cassandra. And I have something like, okay, I have the SQL annotation that run query on Cassandra. Again, SQL is Cassandra query language. That's the roadmap. So we have some draft code and proposal, community feedback, NoSQL vendors, solution vendors. What solution vendor means is Hibernate guy, Pivotal guy with Spring. Right now it's an Eclipse project. Here you are writing the code and write the proposal to become a GSR. We have a site, so jnosql.org. You can go there and get more information. You join us. We have everything is open source in our GitHub, so let's do it. We have mail lists. We have Gitter too. So I believe I have no more time to show some codes, but let's try to do it. 40 seconds. Okay. Let's try to do it. Okay, so here, basically that's our JAX REST API here. Basically, I create a hero resource. I have my entity here. Okay, thanks, brother. I have my entity here, so I have the hero guy, so I have my hero entity, so I have ID, I have column. Let's return it again here, my resource.
Can you guys in the back see? No problem. Yeah,
okay. I have my resource here. Basically, I can find my hero by ID, my hero by some query. If you take a look here, my hero repository. Basically, I just have the interface, and based on the name method name, Artemis try to create a query to you. There's exactly something that Spring Data does, because Spring Data is working with us in this specification. We have one configuration guy here that's that's so difficult. A a connection, guys. So I have a connection here that's a localhost, one host connection. Of course, I can put more, guys. Host 1, host 2. I have my user and then my password. If I show here, let's give more zooms. Okay. Let's try to start my Couchbase machine. So, oops. Couchbase here. Let's try to start this guy here. Oops. And then I can start my application right now. If you take a look in my products, so I'm using just one pawn, XML pawn file. So I have some configuration here. Basically, what I have first my Artemis dependence, and also I have my driver, and that is it. That's the whole idea about Jnosql. And I'm using microprofile. So microprofile is, I initiative to make microprofile and microservices on the Java EE worlds. Oh, what is the internet? Basically, on the Java EE world, I have a huge guy that is a server. And the idea is, okay, I would like to use Java EE, but I don't like to use JMS or JPA. The idea on the microprofile is, okay, let's take more small piece on the Java EE world. So it's not open here, but if you can go to microprofile.io, you can get a lot of information about it. We have a lot of implementation. And the first version has CDI, JAX-RS, and JSON being processed. So basically, I just can have one microservice using just 3 libraries. That's the idea. That's the entire idea. Is there any question about it? Can you? The microphone.
I don't think I need a microphone. Oh, okay. Say, is there any concern, or do you have any concerns that an OR, creating an ORM for a NoSQL database is, I don't know, a solution looking for a problem? That's maybe it's not an ORM isn't necessarily a good fit for a NoSQL database, or maybe if you're looking for an ORM for a NoSQL database, you should be looking at maybe a relational database, because it sure seemed the entities looked a whole lot like they were trying to map back to a relational type structure.
Oh, that's a good question about the relationship. Basically, we are right now working on this kind of this behavior, and the answer is you are working in progress right now. If you join us, we have a discussion about that, and you can give your feedback. The idea is release it on the Java EE 9. So the Java EE 8 is coming in July. So we have more 2 years to work on Jnosql project.
And I thought the same thing. I think MongoDB has their own ORM mapper also. And so I was thinking, oh, great, I'll use this ORM mapper, and that way I don't have to worry about diving in and learning all the intricacies of their SQL query and all that. But I found out, but what I discovered pretty quickly was I still had to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's a good point. And that's why the first idea was, okay, let's try to use JPA annotation that try to use everything that JPA has. And that was the huge mistake. That's why I created everything new to fit on NoSQL database. If you take a look on Spring Data, they created a home annotation, the common annotation, and specific extension to different kind of NoSQL database. So if you are looking for Elasticsearch, I have a search engine. If I look for MongoDB, I have that stuff. So the idea is, let's create a small API to keep everything there, and let's make easier to create extension. That's the idea. That's a huge challenge, by the way. More questions? Okay.
All right, making sure this is on. Usually whenever you're using an ORM with a traditional relational database, it's very much a trade-off of speed versus convenience, because as everybody here probably knows, whenever you use something like Hibernate, there tends to be a lot of overhead with it. So my question is, what kind of overhead are you seeing so far for Jnosql, as opposed to going out directly to Cassandra or Mongo or any of those?
Of course, it's a one layer more. You become so slower, but not slower than Hibernate, because Hibernate is a huge guide. Try to figure out your transaction, but Cassandra have no transaction. Basically, the RTM is going to do is get your object and convert to Cassandra. That is it. So I have a little overlay, of course, but not too easy, such as Hibernate.
Okay, very good. Second question I had, I guess this is more of a social question. You mentioned getting cooperation from the other, from the vendors. What kind of cooperation are you seeing? Because when you think about it, you're approaching them and you're saying, we want to make it easier to migrate off your stuff. Can you help us?
Actually, this kind of good question. Actually, do you know SquillaDB?
Somewhat.
Basically, Scylla is a different NoSQL database that has exactly support to Cassandra. You know what it means? Basically, the people are looking for that. So that's when we write some emails about this, I thought, okay, the people don't agree with that. But they agree because the diversity matters to this guy, because a lot of people is scared to use NoSQL because it's so different to try to use. So they agree because more people get in the product. Okay. And we have extensions, so I cannot use Cassandra such as try to use MongoDB, because this guy has specific behavior. You're going to have a specific extension.
Right, a little too different than anything.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, that's it, Otavio.
That's it. Thank you, guys.